Sorry to keep everybody waiting. We had a little bit longer executive session than planned. Convene the Monday, August 19th meeting of the West Newbury Board of Selectmen. It's 7:15. This meeting is being broadcast on local cable TV and recorded for rebroadcast on the local cable channels and on the internet. Announcements: the Bandstand Summer Concert Series continues Thursdays through the 29th, so a couple more. 6:30 to 8 p.m. This week's performance is by Unnamed Colors, a progressive rock, jazz, piano, and pop. And you can look at all the upcoming performers on the town's website. For real aficionados of college sports, Verizon is removing Fox College Sports from the FiOS TV lineup.
They're re-removing.
Re-removing,
I guess
yes.
you didn't even have it last year, so you're not going to miss it this year either.
Opportunities for FY committee appointments can be looked at on the Board of Selectmen pages on the town website under volunteer opportunities. Interested residents can find out more about the FY20, which we are in now, senior tax work-off program. There is no income requirement to that. You can contact Teresa Woodbury at the Council on Aging about that. First item of business is a request by Chief Duran to appoint John Ripper as a full-time police officer. Chief?
Good evening. Department currently has an opening for one full-time officer. Conducted oral board and testing and interviews, and I would like to put forward John Reba for the full-time position. John's worked with the department as a reserve for about a year now. He's worked all 3 shifts. He's shown to be a dependable employee. I feel like he'd be a good move for the town and the department up to full staffing.
Mr. Chairman, mind if I ask
Go ahead.
a couple
Yeah.
of questions? Hi, John, how are you?
Take a look.
Question. As a reserve officer in West Newbury, what do you think your most dynamic or, interesting police activity, I was going to say arrest, or just maybe even activity, that helped you understand West Newbury as a police officer? The kind of policing that we do, I'm sorry, but could you bring that, you don't have to move it, just, we start getting phone. That's not for here, that's for at home.
Okay.
Just so you.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Like, I'm just curious, like, you've been a reserve officer for almost a year now.
Yes.
So, something that happened dynamic, something that happened interesting, something that happened, maybe an arrest, maybe something at the school, maybe something at the library, that made you understand West Newbury a little bit better, that you could be a good West Newbury, because I look at it that being a police officer in West Newbury is a lot different than being one in Haverhill even, or even Lawrence, or Worcester, or something like that. So I like to make sure we have officers that fit this kind of mold, so just.
Well, I was working a detail for the bicentennial barbecue down on the old town hall down there, and it seemed very low-key in a way, but very community-based, and I like to get to know some of the people from the bicentennial committee, and actually saw Angus down there working a detail, and I like the community. And
A little different from Bill Ricker.
it is, yes.
You ever play sports?
I did.
Against Burlington?
Yes.
You win a lot or lose a lot. I graduated in '82 from Burlington, so
I'd like to
watch
say
out for your question.
We went back and forth in hockey. I played hockey, so we battled.
Good. I'm gonna reserve I wanna ask one more question.
Go ahead.
No, but if anybody else has
Rick?
any more, we have them come in. I'd just like to ask something to find out.
Well, I would say, so John, obviously, no one knows what they want to do, plans to be a full-time police officer or in the future? I mean, for a while now, or
Absolutely, yes.
something you've wanted to do?
Yes. for a
Okay.
long time.
So you graduated from Middlesex Community College in Bedford?
No, I did not graduate.
Oh, you just attended in criminal justice?
Correct.
Okay, it's only 1 year, okay. How do you feel that helped you, that 1 year that you spent in criminal justice, helped you to be a full-time police officer?
Well, it taught me how the court system works. I only did 1 year, so I didn't finish out my associates, but
Mhm.
it taught me how the court system works and how to go about an arrest and how the entire system works in law.
Good. Plan on staying for a while?
Yes, sir.
Okay, everybody's asked you that.
Mhm.
Because
We hope so.
I'm highly recommended, and you seem like a really nice kid, and we're gonna invest in you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean, we can't make you stay here unless we nail you to the floor, but that's probably illegal. But, we're gonna, Chief Duran has seen something special in you that we want to invest a lot of money in you so you can be a full-time officer for West Newbury. So we don't want you to all of a sudden go back to Billerica and, after we spend all the money, just 6 months of sending you because it's a big investment on our part also.
Right.
And we've, from the recommendation of Chief Duran, is that there's something about you that he likes, obviously, because he went through a bunch of oral boards with other people and you came up to the top. So we want to invest some money in you, but we can't ask you to stay for X amount of years, but we kind of want to know what your plans are.
Well, I did I did speak to Chief Durant a couple times on the subject, and I did give him my word that I would stay. There's a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Do you have any thoughts on going back to finish up your associate's degree at some point?
Yes, I was finishing online actually at
Yep.
New Hampshire University,
Great.
so that's something I was chipping at.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's hard to do that and work.
Yeah,
Work for a living.
exactly, yes, but I was working on that.
Yeah.
Good.
So, someone will make a motion?
If I could just add in, gentlemen,
Mhm.
the position's already budgeted in, there's no additional cost to the town, it's already in the budget.
And no additional, for people that are home and reporting in the newspaper, this is not an additional position.
This is a position that is vacant at the moment.
It was vacated by,
When the previous chief left,
yeah,
so that
and then you stepped up to the chief position, which then
opened up that.
vacated the thing. So we're not adding any new personnel, just
No,
filling up
no money
continuity work.
has been in.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we appoint John Ripa III to, as a full-time police officer in the town of West Newbury. Are these yearly appointments?
Historically, they have been.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, June 15th.
June 15th of 2020. But that's more of it's not like you, all of a sudden have to go through an interview. I don't know if you know the process. It's just, we have to appoint the officers, but now that you're a full-time officer, you're pursuant to the union contract. So it's not like you have to go through a process to get reappointed. It's almost, unless something happens that you don't work out, that's something with the contract. It's almost like a rubber stamp that you would be reappointed every single year. You know what I mean? So I just want to make sure that you're aware that you feel like you have to go through this process every single time. You don't have to do that.
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you, John.
Now, you do have to get sworn in, right? Like, Mike's not
Good
there.
job.
Good work on that?
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next item is a special permit request.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Since there's nobody else here from any of the things, I would have to take something on our agenda out of order.
Okay.
And go right down to the discussion of the borough of the bicentennial time capsule, since these people are here.
Yeah,
We can
okay.
go back to the other things with the people aren't here. Is that okay with you?
That is fabulous.
Makes
So
sense.
I
So we know where the bodies are buried.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So. So what I've included is, what the capsules look like, and I wanted you to see, I worked with the Page School, and they had the sixth grade students design the PVC time capsule, and then each grade level is putting something in, they chose something to put into the time capsule, so those are the first two colored pictures you have. And then the committee has purchased the stainless steel time capsule, and, that's the one that we'll put in articles in the town, whatever you would like to put in, and if you have a long list of things that need to go in, then we can order another one. So right now, we have two time capsules.
Do you think we should, Mr. Chairman, do you want to?
Go ahead.
Do you think we should, okay, so, great, terrific. So your theory is, hey, let the kids do one at the flagpole.
Mhm.
Will there be any marking, like a little stone or a little
Okay, so
thing that
this is
says that?
why we're here,
Mhm.
is we thought one location. We were thinking one location for both time capsules, okay?
Oh, okay.
And the committee brainstormed ideas of where they could be. So
Mhm.
that's why we're coming to you to see what you people think would be the best. So the options that we came up with, Dustin Gray, the principal of Page, told me that, he's ordered a new flagpole, and there could be a base, and we could put both time capsules in the base of the Page School flagpole. That's one option. We also talked about having the time capsules here somewhere at the town offices. Mike McCarron suggested to me the training field under the current memorial that's there, that might be an option for the time capsule. And then we thought of the public safety building, you know, somewhere there. So we haven't made it, that's why we're coming to you to see what your opinion is of where it should be.
Where's the new flagpole gonna be?
Yeah, I couldn't picture the old one, so that's what I was trying to do.
The old one is not functioning.
Oh, it's not even there, so, okay.
It's there, but he's having it removed and he needs a brand new one, and I know it was in front, you know, in front of the main door, like near the playground.
On this, across the parking lot, or on the same side as this building on the park?
Across, you know, there's the parking in front of Page.
Right.
And that's where it was, I'm not sure exactly.
It seems like it was down the hill a tiny bit.
Tiny bit.
Yeah,
I'm not
okay.
sure
It
where-
seems to me that's where the flagpole was,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I'm not sure where he wants to put it. He just told me that would be an option. Apparently, he's moved forward with that, at least to getting the flagpole for Page.
I like the training field idea personally. I think that's, you know, in my vision, that's kind of the historic center of the town. You know, training field on one side, old town hall across the street. I mean, it strikes me that that's, you know, the epicenter of history of the town.
Right.
But that's only me.
I thought, when you said time capsule, I thought the exact same thing that Rick thought. That's the first thing that came into my head, that it needs to be on the training field, but then I said, ooh.
I kinda like have,
Are there restrictions?
I
on the
have,
training
kind
field?
of like reservations about that. Digging up, I mean.
Especially near a memorial, but we could put it someplace else.
Right.
But then I said, oh, are there restrictions? Can we do that? I don't even know. But maybe what's wrong with two? What's wrong with one having during the school day that the kids could be part of, and having them bury the one at the flagpole, and then having the more ceremonial one, that the real ending everything, at the training field, if we come to a consensus.
I kinda like both at the Page School, but that's just my thought.
We're open to anything. We wanted you people to have the final decision, because it is for the
Now,
town, and, you know, you want it safe and.
Well, we should explore if we can put it on the training field. I can't imagine we can't, but You'll put the garden club sign there, but you won't put a,
I know.
you won't put something that memorializes the town. It memorializes the town on the training field, which memorializes everything.
See, I look at the Page School and I say, that's great now, but do we know what the status of the Page School is gonna be 50 years from now? I
Could be
don't.
condos.
It
should have been condos.
I don't think we really know what the Page School is gonna be 50 years from now. I mean, to me, the one place that I think we can be pretty much 100% confident will be in 50 years what it is today is
Second
the
floor.
training field.
That's a good argument.
I never thought of that, but that's a great argument, actually. because
And
you're right.
Mike said that it says.
Mike
that
McCary?
nothing- yeah, Mike, cause he brought it up to me, and he said that, the training field cannot be sold, or, it's
It's there forever.
there forever.
Right.
So, that could be a really good option.
Because the Page School could be, I mean, a lot of people wanted us to sell all that for
Right.
condos and build a new one down and.
Well, for that matter, this building, 50 years from now, do we absolutely know what it's gonna be? I mean,
No.
good chance it'll still
There
be.
might not
it'll still
be
the town.
buildings.
Yeah, right, that's right, yeah, we might all be living a virtual life.
Right.
I hope it's
That's
better
right,
than-
that's
I
right,
hope
yeah.
my virtual-
That's
I
right,
think
that's
it's
right,
better
we'll
than
be living,
virtual.
we'll be living a virtual life, and we'll all be on
virtual
floppy
Glenn.
disks in the Dropbox.
Glenn will never go away.
They really did a lot of writing, which that still should be fine, right? Writing
Well,
and photographs.
now,
Okay,
I think it's important to have two, one from the kids and then the other one. But then my initial question was gonna be like, I personally, I would have some ideas, but I don't think we should decide what goes into it just because we're the selectmen. Maybe if we reach out to the town for some suggestions, I mean, they have to be reasonable suggestions. There'll probably be a couple that they bury me in it, but whatever. But they have to be reasonable suggestions. But maybe reach out to the town, and maybe we would have our own suggestions, something that we would come out. Or am I creating a nightmare?
I don't think.
You know what I mean? I don't think
it's
it's fair for
nightmare.
us to, we're just selecting in
we
town.
represent the town, yeah, but not,
I
but,
think maybe if we set out,
Yeah.
what do you guys wanna have in our time capsule, maybe, you know?
I think that's a great idea, but I think the location is important, we felt, for you to.
No, the location has to be us.
Yeah, but I think it's great, and maybe we can do it on the website, the town, right, send a blast out.
Have-
have,
Maybe in the paper?
what have people, anyone given you ideas of things to put in there? What
Well,
have,
as a committee, we talked about putting in like the booklet we did, the commemorative booklet,
Oh, yeah.
a copy of the town photo,
Mhm.
the birthday invitation, things like that, that had to
Okay.
do with the bicentennial.
Copy of Casey's poem.
Please.
Yep.
Do you have a copy? I would love a copy of that. So, yeah, that would be, yeah, I don't know.
And we
maybe
can get
some-
it bigger, I mean, the one that we purchased is only 13 inches.
Okay, so,
4-inch diameter, and they're not expensive,
So-
so we can buy another one.
my thought, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't do that, I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking about, maybe people might have documents or something like that from way back when they might want in there, or our first town meeting warrant, or, I don't know. But maybe I'm opening up, maybe we should, I don't know. I just think we should open it up, and we might not get any suggestions, but
Right.
nobody can say then, why didn't you ask us?
Right, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it should be pretty easy to do, to just have do it through the town website.
Mhm.
There is some, there's a capacity on the website to have a forum or something that, to gather information.
There is, yeah, we don't typically use it, usually we post things without comment, but you could do that, you
Yeah.
could have set it up so people could put their
Or you
suggestions.
could set it up and say anybody who has any suggestions, and you put their email, they would have to be emailed to them, and then, people might have some whacked out suggestions.
Well, that's the reason we put closed comments, is because it's not like we're tracking it, so if someone posts something and we don't get right on it, whereas
It could be
social media,
something-
people
it could be
understand that can
something-
happen, but on the town website.
Like that.
But the one question I had is, with a time capsule, is the spirit of it to capture like this moment in time, as opposed to like historical things? I think the idea is to capture like 2019, right? So,
That's where I
well,
think
that's
you're
my
right.
question.
Yeah, but see, that's where I
I-
started thinking, when you said about the bicentennial stuff, then I said, oh, maybe I'm on the wrong process thing. Maybe some tape art stuff from the tape art things, we did that for the
I already
bicentennial.
have that, right?
Maybe a copy of that Voices of West Newbury that we played,
Could have
a disc.
representation of the current schools and the schools debate, and the school debate, that just from perspective maybe?
A sub from West Newbury House of Pizza.
Copy of the new town photo.
Yeah, yeah.
That would fit into the 13.5 inch long.
So how far?
A small.
How far in advance do you have to order the capsule?
Oh, it only took a week.
Oh,
I got it from you.
can you press your button so that the light turns green?
Let it go. It will.
There you go.
So, the question was, how long does the capsule take? Everybody got the question, and the answer was a week. So, so we could say, hey, get your suggestions in by September 15th. And that would give you enough time, because we're gonna do two, one with the school and one with the town related, in whatever we decide where we're gonna put them, and we can decide that. Now, if we did it on the training field, and we put both, would we just bury it and then hope that somebody would find it someday? Like, the things when you open up your walls and you're in an old house and all of a sudden people purposely put like a newspaper there from the day? Or do we put a little plaque or something that people know it's there? I don't know.
No, your great-great-grandson or daughter would never let anyone dig it up.
Actually, this is a very important issue, because when I asked if there was one from the 100th anniversary for us to dig up, I didn't get many responses.
Oh, interesting. Might be.
None of those people answered from 100 years ago.
Yeah, can't imagine why.
Yeah, so maybe we should have our selectmen make something very special, or the town manager.
We'll just put it on the calendar.
So that in 2069, they'll know exactly where it is.
Should. Yeah, you just can't bury it. It has to be
Right,
something.
right,
It
there
has
has to be something.
Even just for future things, we might dig it up by accident. Putting a new tree or something, everybody's thinking, we're doing a good thing, put a new tree there, whatever. Okay, so when do you need to know where it's at? Because you're gonna
Well-
probably send out invitations for a ceremony and all that kind of stuff.
Sooner the better.
Right.
So can we put that on
I'm
our
not
agenda?
going to vote on it right now.
Well, something like this needs to be unanimous, I would think.
No, I changed my mind.
Oh, because I agree with Rick because that was the first thing that came in my head when I was looking at my agenda, and then the second question was, will somebody get mad that we're digging up the training field? But I can't imagine.
But the permanence of it makes it sensible. It's not gonna be, monorail is not gonna be put there or anything
yeah,
else,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, what about a tree? What about a tree?
You do monorail at Page School?
Yeah.
Maybe
And maybe a plaque,
a tree with a plaque.
in ground, like above.
Like cemetery ones that don't have
Yeah,
the top
right.
ones.
Yeah.
A little stone.
Yeah, we'll say whose ashes is in the tube.
Okay.
Okay.
You have any money left?
Yeah,
Sounds good.
yes, we do.
Okay, so I make a motion that we select the training field, somewhere on the training field, as a site for the bicentennial time capsule.
Second for discussion.
Okay, so my one point discussion is, do we need to ask the Historical Society or anybody else, who actually has jurisdiction? Do we have jurisdiction over that, or does somebody else have
No, we
jurisdiction?
do, because
Okay.
this has come up before. We do, because we're the ones who vote on, we do.
We do,
we-
no, Glenn's right, because before there was question about
Signs and
who
stuff.
could allow the signs, and we can
We
allow
do,
the signs.
But it's not a bad question to ask.
No, but it's good, it's a good question,
We do.
Rick.
Yeah.
It's
We've gone
not,
through this battle
Yeah.
a few times.
It's a historical district,
Yeah.
not a society that would.
Exactly.
We have a historical district that's in the
Okay.
the
historical
district is
commission.
right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, for discussion, we're still in discussion.
Yeah.
Do we just let, the bicentennial committee handle everything and handle the plaque? Or do we need to approve the plaque and make it all more cumbersome? Or if we just give them some direction, something, not too ornate or, not ostentatious, just a nice little plaque in the ground that commemorates where this thing is buried, and let them just take care of everything.
Yeah.
And then just to invite us on, October.
Small
20th.
but durable,
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess I wouldn't mind hearing what you're going to do before it's literally cast in stone or bronze or whatever it's cast in.
That's a good,
You know, it would just be interesting to know before it actually goes out, and chances are, from my standpoint, chances are there'd be no second guess, and I just would, you know.
So as fast as you do it, it's fine, whatever. So, okay, all in favor? Oh, now, more discussion. Who's going to determine where on the training field?
That was my question.
Yeah, so do we let,
Possibly we could make a recommendation, for your approval.
yeah, but I would actually,
let's decide now.
well, I don't know, we'd have to go walk the site. What I would actually let them decide with, I was gonna say the DPW director, because he's the person who's gonna end up, dealing with it, or in Angus, let them, I don't know. I personally don't believe it should be, I don't personally believe it should be anywhere near the memorial.
Right,
I just,
right.
that's just, because that's a.
That's the way that's why I was initially against it, yeah.
But anywhere else sees fit, I don't know. You know who might have a good idea? Is Dot Kavanaugh. She lives there, and she's out there, she takes care of the flowers, she keeps it beautiful, and the thing, I don't know, maybe she might have an idea where it might go. I don't know, or maybe over near the library. I don't care, but I just don't, I don't like it there. I don't like digging up around the memorial, even though I
Right.
know there's nobody underneath there. Or near the cannon.
Right,
Um,
so away from that.
And maybe a little tree, maybe a flat place over near the library, a little black, and maybe a little tree that's, you know, and then in 100 years, a tree, a bush, or whatever. I don't know.
So, how deep do you bury something like this?
Do a little research,
Right.
little research is in
I've
order.
never done
Yeah.
that.
Good question.
Below the frost.
Cosmic radiation, who knew, you have to
well,
protect.
you know, it being a crazy world sometimes, how do we make sure that
Oh,
somebody doesn't
Dig it
sneak
up.
out some night and dig it out?
never
What do we,
thought of
or
it.
do we not, or should I take back that suggestion and pretend I never said that, ask that question?
Well,
Okay, you mean like put it in a, you know, have the tube, but then have a cast iron thing, not cast iron, but stainless steel thing, that you'd have a lock on it, and then the thing would be inside the lock? Yeah, I didn't think of that either, but my God, yeah, you're
And
right.
then you have to make sure someone has the key
Yeah, I
50
know.
years from now.
Like,
Make
it's,
that,
like in a James Bond movie, there's lasers protecting it, and that's a very,
Police department.
Wow.
I think the fact that West Newbury has one of the finest police departments in the Commonwealth is good enough.
That's true, and there's no fraternity houses, I don't
Right,
think.
right.
And it's visible, that's a
Yeah.
great spot.
yeah.
And I really do like the idea of having both of them buried, because I think that way we'll get a lot of the kids, you know, on the same day at the training field, because we'll get parents and children involved that have been part of that as well as townspeople, so.
When is the sunset in October 20th? You ever do it after school or before?
It's a Sunday, so we're gonna do it like at noon.
And the
or
Patriots
1.
aren't playing.
Right, it's the
That's
bye
week? Look at you guys thinking ahead.
You know, we got it.
Wow, that's awesome.
So it's the 20th, you know.
That's smart.
I hate the bye week.
Well, now you have something to do officially, but we can't.
That's smart, 'cause I
we
would
can't
never
get-
thought of that, good job.
So we can't get anything, you know, out till we have the decision over it.
What's gonna be on the
So
training
you're
field?
sure, that's good.
Well, the vote's gonna happen in 2
Okay.
seconds. We're just in the discussion,
Right.
it's things that I was thinking about.
Good.
So, call the vote, Mr. Chairman?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So it's a training field. You have to figure out where, and you're gonna take care of that with Angus? Do we really care? Why don't you X mark the spot, ask him to use go up there with the DPW director maybe?
I mean, it depends.
And make an X with a little bit of, paint, where you guys kinda decide where you guys kinda want it, and then we can come up on our own and look at it, and then at the next meeting, we can say, yeah.
We just don't want to hit a pipe either.
Well, the two things that I think DPW would care about, one, dig safe,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and that's, the second would be, is the plaque flush to the ground? If it is, I don't think they'd care. If it's elevated, then they're gonna wanna know about radii and for mower and things.
No, I don't,
But I'm
I don't
assuming
want
it'll be
it, I don't
flush.
want it raised, no,
Yeah, so I
no.
think as long as it's flush to the ground and they dig safe it, I don't think DPW would care. To me, it's more of a historic district commission, you know, do they have I mean, you guys have said you don't want it certain areas, they may have certain areas they don't want it. But beyond that, I don't know that my office
If you do all the
or
homework
DPW
in
cares.
extra spot and tell Angus when you're in extra spot, when we can go up and look at it, is that okay? And kind of approve that area, or do you wanna even get that in the weeds, do you care? No, us, not you.
He's asking you.
Oh.
Do we care?
I don't care as
I
long
don't-
as
I
it's
don't- I
not
don't really
hitting.
care, I think your judgment's better than
Yeah.
mine.
I don't care as long as it's not hitting,
The Bicentennial
doing digs.
Committee will bring you our suggestions very shortly. You can do what you want.
Well, I don't care. I agree with Rick, I was just
Anything
trying
you
to.
want with it?
But is there someone who is the head of the historical district? Do we know?
You know, he needs, again,
Don,
there you go.
contact Don.
Because I'm almost positive a lot of the people that live on that training field are part of that.
Historical commission.
Yeah, but should know, Dunlap, who is, an
Peg
ex-teacher,
Dunlap,
yeah, she
right.
lives, I think, to the left of her, she's the first one who came to us and said the district didn't want signs on the training field anymore, so she might have just some direction. I don't think they're very active,
Okay.
we probably have a list, right, we appoint them.
Oh, yeah, it's on the town
But
website.
I'm not sure even that there's a full,
I think there are a couple of vacancies on
I don't
that
even think there's a
district
full
commission.
crew now, yeah.
Okay,
Okay, great.
Great,
Thank you
thanks,
very much.
thank you.
Bye, thanks.
thank you so much for your tirelessly work on this.
Yes.
Can't wait until we do it in another That could be.
It's hard to imagine what life will be like in 100 years.
Well-
It's impossible.
But you know what? I don't know. Things change, but who knows? Didn't you think we'd be flying around like the Jetsons when you were a little kid by now? In 2000 and, you know, 2000.
Oh, I totally, everyone thought there'd be Jetson cars, yeah.
I think that everything that's ever gonna need to be invented has already been invented. Who was it that said that? There was some quote by somebody who did.
Yeah.
Clearly they were wrong.
Yep. Okay.
Request for a special event permit, it's kind of Greenbelt, Tour de Greenbelt, September 21st, 12 noon. This is a cycling event on Saturday, the 21st, Pasadena Town. Anticipate 150 to 200 riders. We have
There it is, the map.
yeah, I'm looking at the map, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it only,
South Road becomes South Street,
it
South
covers
Street,
point,
South
according to this, .99 miles of South Street, and that's its only time in West.
Right,
It's-
so
It's as insignificant. as
1
2
mile in West Newbury on South Street, so,
And they don't, taking down arrows along the road will be taken down the next day, no attached, so they don't have anything. There's no watering stations or anything like that. Okay, make a motion to approve?
second. Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next item is a myopia hunt club.
Make a motion to approve the Myopia Hunt Club for September 24th and October 10th.
I'd second.
I'm just looking at both, one, they will need the police chief's sign off on that, that's all.
Yeah, and they have said that they're gonna have crosses at 113
Yeah.
and crosses at Main Street at 714 also.
Because this actually is, at least part of it is going on, is going on 113, so that,
Both days are.
It's crossing it by Pikes Day, right?
Yeah, and then at 914, which is farther down, near the Episcopal Church. So, amend my motion that, as long as the police chief signs off on it. That sounds all right?
Good. Further discussion?
Well, I just want to clarify, Glenn, you said September 24th and it's October 8th, right? I think you said 10th, but it's October 8th on here.
It's a Tuesday one and,
I was going by what's on our agenda. It says, my other high school on the 24th.
Okay,
and
the,
October
application.
okay, the agenda's wrong.
10th. Okay.
So it's October 8th and,
The day of the week is October 8th.
yeah,
I can find
it
out.
says,
No,
it says Tuesday, let's see.
It's a Tuesday.
Is that right, Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go grab that.
I vote aye for it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, during the week. I have questions on this liquor license.
You ever tried following the route for myopia?
Excuse me?
Have you ever tried following the route? Have you ever gone out and walked or?
No,
ridden the route?
no.
Yeah, do that sometime. Some horses on that.
Have you, start that at home? Good.
No, we haven't done anything. Okay. Next one is a one-day liquor license for Nourishing the North Shore annual harvest party, which is, where is the date? September 15th at 2 p.m., ends at 4:30 p.m.
Can I ask a couple of questions on this one, Mr. Chairman, please?
Yeah, let's
This
just,
is-
okay.
Where is this being held? And if this is being held on...
I'm assuming it's where the garden is.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's kind of a rhetorical question.
Okay.
It's being held at 902 Main Street, which is private land. So the reason why this is ahead of us, because they're going to be selling alcohol? Because they don't have to get a liquor license, it's a private...
Because it's open to the public.
But, my parties are, so, I don't, if I have a party at my house,
Yeah, but you don't advertise it in the newspaper or something, yeah.
but, okay, I just thought I thought it was on private, I could be totally wrong. If it was on private land and they weren't selling alcohol, they were just giving it away, it'd be like you having a party at your house and you don't need a liquor license for that. But if they're selling alcohol, you have to have a license.
It says there's a beer truck, so maybe the truck has, maybe it's like Ipswich
They-
charging.
Like the one we had at
Like,
Bicentennial.
yeah,
Okay,
that's what I'm thinking.
that was my only question.
Yeah,
I
okay.
didn't understand it. I just want to make sure I wasn't missing something.
I wonder how much parking they have in there.
Not very much. How much parking there is there? Maybe they could park across the street at the,
Yeah. Evidence occurred at the house party at the Emery House Lane, West liquor license applies. Yeah, I don't know how much they do, Rick, that's a good question, because I see the sign that says parking. That's near 113 with a little arrow, but
Yeah,
I don't know how much they have. It's out back.
yeah. Well, I'm looking at, there's a field out there.
behind the garden there's some?
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's the green, doesn't show the raised beds they have there now, but there's that greenhouse.
Right, right.
The raised beds are here, and then this is where the mapping program puts 902 right there, and there is this little road that goes in
Oh, yeah,
right here,
really?
so.
Okay.
So I'm assuming maybe the parking's back here in this field.
Okay. What's the little thumbnail, what's the red dot? That's just
Oh,
the address?
yeah,
Oh,
that's where it
okay.
said that's 902, right? That's
Okay.
the pin for 902. And these things aren't always perfect, but that's probably right.
The one piece of information that we've requested, that we haven't received yet, but I wanted to bring this forward tonight, just in case there were questions, so there would be time for, with one more meeting before the event date, is the tip certification for the beer truck. I have no doubt they have it, but we like to have, we need to have that on file. So any approval, I would suggest be
Continue.
subject to receiving the tip certification. But Glenn, to your earlier question, I mean, this has been interesting for me to hear, because there's not a written policy on when liquor licenses are required. And when we were handling some early in my tenure here, I talked to the ABCC, and they said it's actually wide open in terms of municipalities and what threshold requires a permit, and what your local requirements are. There's a lot of flexibility there, so.
But I think if you're charging for alcohol, that's, whether there's 3 people or 700, I think that's
That's what I always.
That's a
thought.
no-brainer,
That was a statement, I thought.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, there are certain things that make it automatic, but beyond that, like what requirements you have,
So
we
is your
don't have
question-
anything written up, so
Is
we.
this kind of a statement, so, hey, guys, we need to get a policy?
Well,
sounded like it,
Let me,
yeah.
let me tell
Whoa,
you, so what the way we've been handling them since I've been here in terms of what we require the certificate of insurance naming the town as additional insured, and we require the tip certification for whoever's serving. Beyond, and then if there's any questions the police or fire or anyone has in terms of whether it's parking or whether it's those kinds of things, we have the ability to ask for more information, but the baseline information we ask people to provide is very limited, and that's something that Annie and I have talked about. Like, that's kind of what I've told her, but we don't have
Angus,
a policy that says
a lot
that.
of these things are things that have been, say, happening on town property, but do we care if they have a certificate of insurance if it's not on town property? Even that's not really our problem.
No.
They have to get approval if they're selling it, but I don't think we even care if they have insurance if it's on.
Well, I don't know about that, because
You
there might be
do- you
some
do?
state regulations about if you're selling alcohol, you have to have liquor liability insurance. Those regulations are really strange.
Yeah.
They kick in like that, the selling of it. I'm almost positive.
Like, I can't imagine anybody that would do it without it, just to cover themselves, but I wonder if it's mandatory, I don't know.
I would expect it to be mandatory, because, you know, if you know, you're trying to protect other people too, and so if you're able to do something, sell alcohol and not be insured, then, and if something happens,
Then you need to start
then-
drinking.
Then, yeah, right, then you drink hard. Then there may be no recourse at all
Yeah.
for anybody who's injured.
Well, I think,
So I'll make a
That's a-
I think you've hit a really good point, because obviously the poor has insurance, and in this instance where it's on private property, I assume their certificate of insurance is to the benefit of the homeowner, property owner. But I think Archie's raised a really good question, is do we have an interest in requiring insurance?
Only.
Of the
On, if it's on town property.
On private property.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
no, we don't. But I think a state requirement if they're selling it. So if they have a beer truck, like the Bicentennial, they were selling it, correct?
Yeah,
That's right, yes.
yes.
In those circumstances, so if you get Ipswich Ale, and it's a ridiculous amount of money, but you have to guarantee them just, you know, it all depends on how many beers they bring. You could have like the minimum of 2 beers, you know, and they might have on their truck, you can go up to like 5 of different selections.
Yeah, oh,
The
okay.
more selections you have, the more money you have to guarantee them. So you have to guarantee them like $2,000.
Really? Oh, wow.
It might even be more.
Wow.
They get, you know, to bring the truck out for the person, so, you know, they don't bring a truck out for 50 people and like, nobody drinks beer.
Oh.
So they require a guarantee money, so they have to pay them, or if it's open bar, the homeowner just pays them. If you have a birthday party, you can have them at your house if you want.
I should have had another one.
And, so,
That's
but
interesting.
generally you
okay.
have to guarantee them no matter what, but if they sell $4,000, you don't get, whatever. You just have to guarantee them the money. So I'm assuming, because this is kind of a nonprofit and it's kind of a, whatever, that they might be guaranteeing the minimal amount and people are gonna be paying for the beer, so they have to have a liquor license.
Okay.
And then that kicks in from the state that if you're gonna be selling beer, you have to have liquor liability insurance, which I'm almost positive these people do.
Well,
Yeah,
they do have liability insurance
So we're
here.
talking about-
But whether they have a one-day,
Which
I'm
I think-
sure that the beer truck has it, yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve, even though I don't know if we even have the authority to approve. Did they come to us?
Well, it came to my attention, I'm not sure the initial point of contact, so I don't know, I don't know what, it was
Because
just
if I was
filed.
doing a function down there, say, I would never think that if I wasn't selling it, that I would have to come and get anybody's permission, as long as it was on private property.
Mhm. I've made a note to look into that.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Vote to establish a food pantry gift account by request by the Council on Aging Director.
Do you have a motion?
There is a motion here, yes.
I always get messed up because of the back. On the back. Anybody wanna do it? I can't find mine. I have it somewhere.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
saw it, I just gotta find, okay. I move to establish the West Newbury Food Pantry gift account in accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, and I move to accept gifts funds for said West Newbury Food Pantry gift account and authorize the expenditure of such funds in support of the West Newbury Food Pantry and all other costs pertaining to the operation of providing food and household supplies to persons in need.
Second.
Discussion.
Was that supposed to be one motion, or was that supposed to be two motions?
Two motions.
Okay.
And there's an and there, okay.
Okay.
So, discussion, so the money goes in, and who authorizes, here it is, who authorizes the money to go out?
Under the Mass General Law, it's the Board of Selectmen that authorize that, so.
The only people to do that, right?
Yes, correct. I had asked Mike, I just got the request from Teresa, Thursday afternoon, she asked if we could put it on for tonight, and so I asked Mike to draw up the motions, and he drew it up. The way he's written this, which I can see he modeled it on the car post, the second part of the motion authorizes the expenditures. That was a different situation because at the same time you were asked to create the account, you were also in receipt of a gift. So that night you were also authorizing to receive and to authorize the expenditure. Here, the inclusion of that language, obviously with Mike out of town, we don't have an answer, but I wonder, the way I read it, you're moving to accept and authorize the expenditure of the funds. In my experience with gift accounts, when the funds are received, they're brought to this board to accept at that time. So, that might be, I don't know if that was his intent.
Oh, in other
You see
words,
what I'm saying?
you're saying this generic acceptance isn't really acceptable.
Well, it's not,
You have to vote on someone sends in a check for $5, we don't have to vote on that, do we?
Well, perhaps that's why he wrote it the way he did.
Yeah.
Is so that you didn't have to vote every time. But, for example, on the car post gift account, we've received another check that came in since the board's last vote. It came in after we had posted tonight's agenda, so that'll be on the next agenda. And that will be on the agenda for the board to accept those funds and to authorize their use. With this one, where I expect there'd be smaller dollar donations, he may have written it this way to reduce that.
Well, that's what I'm
that
thinking,
overhead,
yeah.
That administrative burden.
But see, so under that scenario, we could accept that gift and not authorize its expenditures.
That's right.
And only authorize expenditures on what we see fit,
That's exactly.
and
that's-
not even what the donor sees fit.
As, you know, the donor, when they provide funds for a specific purpose, you can't use it for anything outside that.
No, I'm talking about the
But-
car post.
Yeah, yeah,
So if
but.
they say, well, okay, so if somebody made a donation for the car post and said, I'd like to make a $5,000 donation, for the architectural study.
Mm.
Do we accept that? Now, do we only have to spend that on the architectural study?
Well,
Or
that-
do we have the latitude to see fit, and we say, well, we don't wanna spend it on that, we're gonna hold it aside and spend it on,
Flowers.
flowers?
Mm. Well, so the question that you've asked is a little different, because when the board voted to create the car post gift account, it did
Mhm.
so based on, these are the eligible uses. And so anyone giving funds into that account is understanding that the board has the ability to use that for any of those eligible uses. If someone came in and said, I want it to go to this specific use and nothing but this,
Mhm.
I might suggest to them there'd be a separate gift account, because once it's in there, it's eligible for use or anything.
You know, we could show respect
For-
and do
I-
that.
it's-
No,
for
but
anything
we don't, we're
within
not
what-
legally tied to that. A board could say, no, we don't want it.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, you can't go beyond the purpose of who gave the gift.
So,
So, well, back to where Glenn was asking at the beginning, as to who authorizes the expenditure. This, moves to accept gift funds into the account and authorize the expenditure of such funds. in
but it
support-
doesn't say to whom
Yeah, I mean,
that authority goes to.
who,
But
Teresa manages the food pantry. Is Teresa the one who will?
Well, that's where-
Then, I mean, I don't think we want to get involved with.
it implies that we're delegating the
Right,
authority,
right.
that's the way I read it.
Yeah, I think that's good, that's appropriate. I don't think we want to, be
No.
getting involved in decisions as to
No,
what-
no.
what.
I don't even
is
wanna get
appropriate
involved in
cost.
accepting. I think the
Yeah.
only thing we should accept is like donations of like an old computer. Or you know what I mean? I'm using that example.
Mhm.
Because that's what they do down the school. People think, hey, I'm gonna give my computers to the school. But, the school doesn't want your old computers, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So for us to authorize money to go into something we've already authorized every single time,
Oh, we don't need to, basically.
well, he's saying we do. Angus says.
Angus is saying we do.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it's possible that's something that changed with the Municipal Modernization Act. They may have
Oh, okay, yeah.
streamlined it. I know in the old, 2010, 2012, I know that the board had to vote
Let's,
both the acceptance of
I
and the
have,
expenditure.
Glenn, I have seen school committee meetings where there's like, we vote to accept 1,200 from the PTO,
Yep.
on
That's a policy that they
different things,
Yeah.
okay.
so,
It looks like as written, this would, once this account is created, as I read it, would allow someone to come in with a $25 check.
And we
you
don't
could
have
receipt
to-
it, and it wouldn't go through you.
and they would have to
It
do it.
seems
through-
like that,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's how I'm reading.
And
That's-
Teresa would instruct them to come up to the finance office.
Yep.
She would not be taking,
Right, no,
Yeah,
she doesn't accept money. Yeah.
or checks, or.
Right.
Okay, that's how I would want it, I don't, and.
That's how I want it.
And if there's a way that we could do the par post one,
Mm-hmm.
and just re-vote something, that we don't have to approve it every time somebody gives
Okay.
us money,
Yep,
that's my personal opinion.
all right.
Other than if it's sort of, if it's a big donation, it's sort of people get some public recognition
Well,
out of it,
Instead
yeah.
of accepting it every single time, it would be under, comments or something, we'd like to
Okay,
say.
yeah.
Just the process
Or,
of.
some boards have like a consent agenda, which but sometimes boards will have a section of kind of non-controversial things where they vote the consent agenda, which is a whole list of things, and that could include the acceptance of such and such.
Because I don't
funds.
want money sitting there, or a donation sitting there, waiting for us to approve it to use it. Maybe you
Mhm.
might need it.
Mhm.
And, who knows? I mean,
Mhm.
it's only 2 weeks, but you never know.
Mhm.
I don't know.
That's also a good point, yeah.
Okay. So so it's been moved and seconded, I think?
It has?
Well, yeah.
All in favor? Aye.
Thanks.
Who knew that we would spend 10 minutes on that? Update on the Mass Works grant application related to the Middle Street Bridge.
Yeah, this is just to close the loop on the prior agenda items. The grant application was successfully submitted. I think it came together really nicely, and I want to put definitely extend thanks both to the support of this board, but also to the public. We had probably 20 different letters of support, including a lot of just from residents out in town. We did have one letter from a family that didn't want the bridge rebuilt because they see the reduction in traffic. I went ahead and included that because even though it's not supportive of the grant, we invited public comment, and so we did include that. We included all of the correspondence, but on balance, a lot of very supportive letters. The city of Newbury Port came through with a very nice letter, and also provided documentation of where this project fits in their approved capital plan. It is in there, and the funding in their capital plan, if we get this grant, aligns with what we're expecting in terms of
Good.
both timing and amount.
I think that's a great move, in putting that other letter in there. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
of
a
course,
good
you know,
move.
you ask for people's input, it doesn't, you don't wanna, and it was a very thoughtful, well-written letter, so I think the town's interests, in my view, and I think in the board's view, are to see that bridge reopened, but it's a very, certainly
you know.
viable point of view,
It
so.
was a nice letter by them, but they're gonna be getting some traffic.
So I also want to talk about the public meeting. You know, we've been talking for months with the city about wanting to get a date set. We do have agreement, I believe, from everybody at this point, for Monday, September 23rd. That would be a special meeting of the Board of Selectmen, and it would be jointly sponsored with the city of Newburyport, but we would host it. And so I just want to make sure that's, as far as I'm concerned, everyone said, yep, that date works well. That's an off week.
Who will be coming from them?
The mayor is not available that night, so her chief of staff, Matt Coogan, would be there, the city engineer, probably the director of public services, hopefully residents, they would advertise it, so it depends who comes, but in terms of the official staff, it would not be the mayor herself.
Can we make sure we have official placards for them?
Yep.
We're all gonna sit up here with them, we wanna make sure they're not in the audience and we're up here, so it's really feels like a joint meeting.
Definitely.
Something together.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Dave.
No, that's a good, I didn't even think of that, but that's
If
good.
you don't, just
Well,
so
and
there's
the
a
other-
good theme right from the beginning, that it's a joint meeting, that we're not here and they're over there.
Yep, and Rick had asked in an email about what would be the location. I'm open to suggestions. If we think this room is adequate, fine, we could have the annex. I put a hold on both locations. So we can revisit that as it gets closer, but just something to think
I mean,
about.
you have that, which
Right.
is nice.
It is nice.
You're gonna need that?
You need some presentation, but you could set
Oh,
up,
let it
you
go.
could set up a,
Let's do it here. I think we should do it here. It's enough room. Yeah, it can be
Well,
televised.
that's it, just hopefully we don't end up
Right.
with a lot more people than we expect, but you can fit quite a few people in here.
Mhm.
And,
But having that to show the designs and stuff, it's
and it
way
comes
better
through
than a
lot better on the
whiteboard or
TV
something,
recording as
yeah.
well. And the number of people you reach through the TV recording is, probably bigger.
Because then we are able to put it on
Right.
Facebook and put it on our town website.
Right.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Moving right along.
Anticipated CPC proposal for the fall town meeting related to rehab of the car post.
Okay, so, just providing another interim update, the car post committee, met this past Wednesday morning with the, architects, and, I had emailed around to the board late last week the, slides that were sent or prepared by the architect that had some, design work and some cost estimates. The cost estimates are only for the, stabilization and the exterior portion of the project. They're still working on the cost estimates for the inside of the building. So that work is underway. There's, the Car Post Committee has posted another meeting this Wednesday evening, August 21st at 7 p.m. That'll be here in this room. The architects will be present. They will present the work they've done so far. Is very much a working draft, and the spirit of the meeting this Wednesday is very much a working meeting. They'll present where they are, what it is, what it isn't, meaning what assumptions are in there that they're still working on the details. So it's going to be a very interactive meeting. It's a great opportunity for people who have thoughts, ideas, concerns regarding the project. So I would definitely, and I've looked to the Car Post Committee to help to get the word out so people know about that meeting.
So it's this Wednesday?
This Wednesday.
So, Angus, my only question, and just, if you could ask it says rebuild the turret, including new crenellations and chimney, for $110,000. It just seems, that seems low. To rebuild the turret with all that and a new chimney for $110,000. I don't know, it just seems.
Maybe because they're on site, and like if you were gonna do it just that, it would be more money, but they're here doing everything else?
I don't know, just,
I actually also kind of wonder, I had another related question too, in that there's a structure inside of there. And does, it refers to it as masonry repair, but if you go up to the second floor
it's all collapsed.
In the tower, the structure is completely, it's still there, but not much left,
are we creating an empty tube without floors in it, or, I don't know?
Well, we were only doing the outside, this has nothing to do with the inside.
But how do you build in other words.
Questions for Wednesday night, or?
Yeah, just questions that might be answered before Wednesday night.
Yep.
So think of, Angus, here's my thought, and I think Rick is driving the same thing. If we rebuild the tower, and it's even on the first floor, the floor is, everything has just come down inside that tower. So you have to build, if you're building the tower, you have to build out so that the floor can sit on something, and it's hard to imagine that you build the tower without at least having footings and so forth for a new floor.
Yeah, just to be clear, the reason this doesn't include the interior is not because that's not going to be proposed. It's because they're still working on that cost estimate.
Oh.
So
Okay.
So they're not doing this, and then we're gonna wait 3 years for the interior?
No.
That's just not ready yet?
Right, yeah, they're still, as
Okay.
yeah, we just signed a contract with them 3 weeks ago. I mean, they're really moving.
Right.
But there's not a
So
whole lot of
just the
contract.
idea of like building, basically the tower would be building another chimney if
Yeah,
there's
no,
nothing
that's not-
inside of it, yeah.
So the roof structure and everything that holds up the roof structure then is going to be a separate item on as we move to the next stage. I mean, you can't.
Again, there was concerns about the roof bowing and.
Yeah, I mean, the roofing, they're carrying some money in the budget for, replacing some of the slate roof.
Are these all questions for Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the architects are best qualified to
Right.
speak
Yeah.
to the
I think
details,
that's all these-
but,
Okay, yeah.
but the way it was
What-
summarized to me
I'm gonna
is,
try, yeah, I have to go to
this covers the stabilization,
Awake,
the exterior
yeah.
work,
Yeah.
but not the interior work.
Lynn?
But in terms
Oh,
of,
Jesus.
Yeah, I guess that's.
How did you get back
We can
here?
talk about that on Wednesday.
What?
Understand
Oh.
what
There
you're
at
talking
3:30.
about.
You do the quick in and out, yeah.
Because there's a
It was out
structure
and
that
done
has
by
to support the
4:22.
roof.
Oh, nice,
Support the
yeah.
tower. And,
Hey, sorry about that. I gotta go.
you're talking about the roof of the towers
tower.
specifically,
Right,
not the roof of the building.
yeah, roof for the tower.
Yeah.
And, the superstructure that supports that roof, the rafters and everything else.
Mhm.
Because obviously, if the tower's coming down, that's coming down too.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe we're asking questions that were just premature, I don't know.
Well, or that the architect, I'm not an architect, so it's, I don't wanna say something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather have them
Yeah.
speak for their work.
Would you like, if we can't make it, would you like us to, email you, maybe if we're not gonna make it, email you a list of questions that you could ask
Definitely.
in our absence?
Definitely.
Not
Yeah,
opinions, but
I have to
just,
go to a wake, but I'm gonna try and be here. so-
Okay,
not
yep,
our opinions, but if you get an email from us, that's just some questions that may arise, that you could just.
definitely, yep. And we've also talked, and I wanted to see if we could lock this in, we talked by email about, myself and the board, just about scheduling, possibly an extra selectmen's meeting on Monday, the 9th of September, which would be intended at this point as basically a one-issue meeting, to review the draft CPC proposal, and to see if that, it sounded like that date might work for all of you. That would mean 4 straight meetings in September, but it being September, that's not totally unexpected, given that there's a lot of
Gotta
things
be
going
done.
on. So if you guys are good with that, I think, I see that as a real
Ooh, what is
opportunity,
it?
because Monday, September 9th.
Ooh. Mary, if you're watching at home, well, you're not going off for your birthday on September 9th.
Oh, no.
You can come to a CPC meeting.
We can look at a different date, but the intent
No,
is.
September 9th is fine.
Okay, the CPC proposals due the 12th, so I want to make sure, since, it'll be submitted on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, I want to make sure that shortly before it's submitted, that you have the opportunity to see the complete draft.
You think the architects are gonna have everything in place by then?
For cost estimating, yeah, that's the timeline they're working on. It's tight,
Yeah. What, this is the fourth, no.
Yeah, it's just less than
The
3
19th.
weeks from now.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, if they don't, we can't.
Mm-hmm.
But then that would be tight for them, CPC, right? For fall town meeting?
Right, CPC, their meeting in September is the 19th, and they ask for things a week ahead, so that gets us to the 12th.
Which then, they meet the 19th, which gives them kind of only like a month before fall town meeting.
Almost 6 weeks, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's tight. It's been a tight timetable right along.
Mhm. But it seems like it's going in the right direction at least. No snags yet, for a tight, it's going.
Yeah, I think they're doing very good work.
So actually, things are really falling into place in terms of, what the architect has come back with,
Mhm.
scheduling,
Mhm.
yeah,
But yeah, it's definitely a daily focus, this project.
yeah.
Okay, so do you have, just so we have something, so we're planning. So we have an extra one on September 21st with Newbury Court about the bridge. Is that the 21st?
23rd,
23rd,
Yep.
which is a Monday,
Yep.
off Monday.
that's right.
And another off Monday would be the 9th.
Mm-hmm.
So we all good with that? I just wanna, it
Right.
kinda was out there, but
Right,
we all
right.
kinda said, oh yeah, but I just wanna, so
Right.
I need a plan.
Yes.
So every Monday in September. So we can take the rest of the year off. Okay, I'm fine with it. You all,
I'm checking on something.
Yeah, I had already blocked it out, so.
So, we don't need to lock that in tonight, it's just,
no, but it's nice,
I would,
the
yeah.
9th is.
It's coming right up,
far away.
yeah.
I just wanna
Well,
make
and
a
also
plan.
part of the intent, that we built into the Car Post Building Committee charge was to help to ensure that there would be, understanding it's a short calendar, that there would be opportunities within that for public input. So this Wednesday is more of an informal meeting. I think it'll be really positive. The more people there, the better. By September 9th, we'll have more of a proposal, and so there will be something specific people can respond to. Now it's more of an interim update. This is where we are, this is what we know, what we don't know. And so I think as soon as we, if it ends up being September 9th, I would want to build that into the information we're putting out through website and social media, so people know that, when the opportunities when will be the opportunities for people to get, provide input?
Solitaire? Just kidding. I said, are you playing solitaire?
No, I was trying to see
Explain
a meeting that I was going to, what the date was, and it's October 11th, not September.
So the 9th is good, he's waiting to.
I can do the 9th.
Okay, great. Okay.
I thought he was playing Candy Crush. Okay,
Okay, tell us about the playground.
Okay, so the playground initially came from a group of parents that had approached me last spring, and I think what was kind of a catalyst to suggest this might be something that could move forward, in a quicker timeline potentially, was the reallocation of the state earmark and the $20,000 that was in the state budget. And so I think there's a couple of ways we could look at this. The $20,000 could end up being useful as $20,000 in the ground doesn't get you much, obviously. Especially when you're dealing with playgrounds that right now are not ADA accessible. So just getting, a path from the parking lot to that rear playground, for instance, and maybe some modest change, but that might cost you 20 grand. So I think the question that we're looking at is, do we look at doing something incremental? Do we look at potentially something larger? We know that we've known for years that there's drainage problems with the rear playgrounds, and so I think that's really where I'm at, is to try to gauge what level of support there might be to bring something forward that's more transformative in terms of that space, rather than incremental.
well, if I'm not mistaken, what I'm looking at, the playground out there is not that old. Do you know how old that is? If I don't remember, like the one with the little, the two towers on it, that's relatively new, in playground lifetimes, I guess,
I think Greg hadn't told me he thought it was about 20 years.
No.
Oh, I would disagree with
No
that.
way.
No way.
No way.
Okay.
Because
kids were there.
because it was moved somewhat when they moved the softball field.
Correct. When we did the construction on, when we did the construction on the page, things were reconfigured out there. They might have even been put in then. Because those aren't the same structures that were there when my kids were there.
No.
But my youngest is 21, so.
But even so, it's not 20 years, no.
No way.
No way.
I would say it'd be 5 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Right? What do you think, Jen?
Maybe 10.
Huh? Maybe 10? So what does 20 grand get us in that front one? Can we, instead of trying to move the money around, why don't we try to do the front one? That one. And what is that front one used for?
Is that mostly people from the Children's Castle using that?
No,
or-
I think they have their
that's
own on
the
the
one to
side.
the east of the building.
Okay.
So the one in the front is designed for like K to 2, and then the one in the back's more designed for like grade 2 or 3 to 6.
Like after lunchtime, just go out there and run around and stuff. And the other one's fenced in,
Mm-hmm.
the one in the front.
Yeah, yes.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody in that front playground. And I'm not saying that it's never used, but looking at those pictures, that looks like it needs more work than anything.
So that's the one in front of the parking lot.
Yep. Yeah, probably near
Yeah,
the
yeah, like
flagpole, near the
who
guy.
uses that, like you said, yeah.
He says K to 2, because the other one's too big.
Well, and by building code, there's gotta be, or by whatever the applicable code is, there has to be a separate playground for those different age groups.
It does.
We
Yeah.
chose ages 3 to 5 and then 5 to 12 for this.
That's, I think that's, yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
And that structure, I think, is relatively new too, that little slide structure. Now, does 20 grand help fixing what we have? No? Like that wooden ramp? Look at that. That's in the front.
Well, once you get people there, I know that they had looked into that, on that front playground, I'm told they had looked into whether they could do like a ADA swing set, and there were issues because there's not enough room in the fenced-off area to put in a swing set with the required offsets from both the fencing and the other equipment. So there's not much that can be done with the current equipment that's there.
I'm gonna ask this question, not just because of knowledge. Is there a need for that? And I guess we'd never know the need, because the need could arise the next year. You know, the ADA, are kids missing out? Are we getting, or is this thing that we should do, but are kids missing out? That would mean to me that we would need to do it a lot faster than, I don't know, maybe that's a stupid question, maybe that's a,
I think
maybe that's, I shouldn't say stupid, but maybe that's a wrong reasoning in my head. But if you came to me and said, hey, listen, that front one, we you know, it's not ADA compliant, we like to have everything ADA compliant, we would, but there is a need for it, and kids are missing out and not being able to go out with their siblings at recess because we're not compliant. That would make me want to move faster.
And I think the impression that I've gotten is that there's some number of kids that can't use the playground, right?
Okay.
The little one or the big one, or both of them?
The little one, and one of the parents, I think the child's gonna be getting into the older grades, and so it will become an issue with the rear one.
So that answers my question too, because my main question when looking through the material was, have we talked to some parents and we talked to the school to see what, you know, their needs and stuff are?
It sounds like for a substantial part of the year, the back one isn't usable currently because of ground conditions, you know, because of drainage, or lack of drainage.
I don't remember that either.
Oh, that's been that's something Bill talked to me about,
Did he?
during my.
Maybe I
yeah.
was just.
That's just one of on the list of kind of known issues, and I've become more familiar with it in the last, input in working on this, in meeting out on site with a parent who said that she's the one who gave me the 4 to 5 months a year estimate of when it's either flooded or iced.
Yeah, I can actually think back to 20 years ago when my kids were in Page, and, you know, going up there and you know, essentially there'd be mud puddles under the swings, you know, huge mud puddles under the swings, and,
Yeah, but that's before this was
Yeah,
done.
that's what I don't know.
So it sounds like when it was done, maybe it wasn't done.
Are you looking?
That's possible, yeah.
Are you looking for direction to go ahead and maybe cost something out, or what are we doing?
Yeah, basically to get a sense of what would it take to improve the accessibility.
Of the front one, not the back one.
Well,
hold on.
Initially I was looking at the front one, but then.
But I think you mean maybe approve the accessibility of the equipment, not approve the accessibility of the playground, because it's pretty wide open for
No, but there's no
wheelchair.
there's no hard surface that gets you from the parking area to there, and then it's surrounded by this wooden edging, which is kind of like a.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Not something a
No,
wheelchair.
I got you.
Is there any feedback offered, or has the administration at Page been asked about, you know, for any feedback on whether or not there are a significant number of kids, I guess one is significant, but, you know, how many kids are affected? Is it, and that could change year by year, but I'm just curious, you know, currently what's the impact?
I have not had that conversation. So far, it's been the superintendent and Greg Haddon have been, but I think, you know, I mean, this is something that's come together pretty quickly with, you know, so yeah, it's.
Angus, do you think it'd be helpful to have the parents come in?
Definitely.
Because that one question, because I had kind of the same kind of question, but when you look at a parent's face and say that their child can't play like the other kids.
Can I ask a question? How is it possible that that could go forward? I mean, I don't understand.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
I never knew that this
There
There's
wasn't
no
go forward.
complaint yet? But why?
Hold on. You need to use them. Why don't, I can bring it to you, because, and you can keep it with you, Jen.
I'll take it.
Because I'm almost positive, the crowd didn't show up that I thought was gonna show up tonight, so you can have it.
That's a good question, Jen, yeah.
I'm not sure I understand actually what you meant.
How could this go on so far that we wouldn't have ADA compliant playgrounds for our kids?
Yeah,
And-
especially when you think it wasn't 20 years ago that was updated. How was the town able to do that?
Well, I don't think the town did that, and honestly, this is the first time formally, and I've been here a little bit
And
more.
is it because my understanding of, you know, and I know I'm not a lawyer and I don't understand a whole lot about it, but my understanding, for example, at the high school, that auditorium is not ADA. You can't get a wheelchair comfortably in and out of there.
Mhm.
Nobody ever complained about it, but if they had, it would have triggered all kinds of things. That's my understanding, and maybe somebody else knows more about it than I do. Is it because no one complained, and if you bring those parents in and complain, I don't know.
Well, I don't think it needs to be complained, quite honestly. Well, hold on. I just want people to know that at no time has this ever been brought to my attention as a selectman.
Right.
And I think this is the first time formally it has, because maybe this is triggered because of that money from Senator Tarr and from the legislature, and this is a good thing.
No, this was triggered because someone made the request, and that's why.
Right, but you're both right. It was triggered.
We started
because someone-
talking about it, and then they said, hey, if you're gonna do anything, why don't you make it ADA compliant or something like that?
No,
No.
so it was triggered it came to my attention initially from a resident.
Mhm.
And then it was within, I don't know the exact timeline, but within the next 4 to 6 weeks was when everything changed with the library ramp and the CPC funding became available, and so it became, you know, the earmark, was there a different project? I said, well, this is a great project. And at that point, what I was thinking was exactly what you said. Can we, you know, I was focused just on the front playground, and can we make it, can we get people there? And then, and so that was, you know, I wrote a memo back in June, and we had some brief discussion with this board on basically looking to change the earmark from the library ramp to supporting Page School. So that's what happened. And then, you know, then once I looked into it a little further and started to realize, well, geez, while that money is very helpful, it's not, in terms of in the ground, it's not gonna get you a
Very
whole
far.
lot. And so that's kind of
Any
where I ended up
estimates,
is-
any crazy estimates that we're listening to?
Yeah, I met on site last,
If I'm putting you on the spot and you'd rather not say, please don't.
I
Because you know
won't
when
say
somebody
numbers.
gets a number,
Yeah.
they fly with it.
I do
No matter if
understand
it's
that.
wrong or not.
I do understand that. So there's a couple of people I've been corresponding with. One is the landscape architect who's working with the high school. He's a Newburyport resident, and Greg Haddon put me in touch with him as someone who might have some thoughts on this. And he has not given me a number. And the other is a design-build contractor who actually builds the playgrounds. And we met on site last week with a parent, and he basically said, you know, the sky's the limit in terms of, I mean, you know how some of these playgrounds are unbelievable. You can spend a ton of money. What I'm trying to figure out is what's the amount that would need to be spent to address the drainage issue and to improve the accessibility. And so I don't
Of both sites.
I think that given the constrained resources, you know, I've shipped my focus has shifted more to the rear playground, because it's just more, it's a bigger resource, so it seems like more justifying of further investment, whereas the front playground is so constrained, I don't know how much money you want to put into that, because it's not gonna be a great amenity no matter what. But that's not,
You
it's
might
not,
blow it up and just do a whole new one.
well, that's, yeah, and that's one of the questions I've set out, is if, you know,
I mean, and yeah, but it seems like little kids partake of a playground more. I mean,
that's right.
how many sixth graders are going on a little plastic slide? Not that many,
Mhm.
0.
Mhm.
Well, it's one of these things where you go home and you say, we have, I don't know, if one handicapped person that needs ADA compliant stuff is not being able to play with the siblings, and we're the ones that make those decisions, I don't think I'd sleep very well tonight, knowing that we didn't say, let's do everything we can to do that, because everything else in this town, because it's so old, isn't ADA compliant. And, you know, we can't move brick walls, but we can move some dirt and maybe pour some stuff. And so I would actually like to, now that it's one of those things you don't think about, now when it's brought to your attention, it's gonna irk me, no matter how many people it affects. If it's one per kid who can't do it, you know what I mean? We need to do something.
That's open to the public too, after school hours and in the summer.
Mhm. Yep.
I would think.
So, would the footprint of the back one have to change? Because that one does, if it had to move north, it would affect north and
Towards the
west.
river.
It would affect the softball field.
Correct.
Yeah,
The assumption I'm making is that we would maintain the footprint. With that said, if the decision was made to have the, you know, age 3 to 5 playground also located in the back, and because those have to be separated because of code, you know, perhaps that area that's laid out as a kind of a beach volleyball court could become the little kid playground, but still keeping the same footprint of the overall playground. But this is just, you know, thinking. I mean, that's the interesting thing about a project like this, is ultimately it's up to the voters, you know, whether to invest in something like this. It's up to both this board and Community Preservation Committee whether, you know, what question to bring to the voters. So I think that's really where I'm at with it, is what
Well,
level.
hold on, can you use CPC money for this?
Oh, yeah.
This is recreation.
Oh, the
And
recreation
ADA.
por- I'm sorry, the
Yeah.
recreation portion of it.
Is this,
And they made the,
Should
yeah.
Parks and Rec be part of the conversation?
So they're, yes, they should, and they're meeting this Thursday, and I'm on their agenda with this issue. And
So is there any way we can, if we ask some, it might be nice, it's easy for us here to speculate what we need and what we don't need, right? It might be nice to have a parent come in and tell us, you know, what the downfalls of that front one is, and maybe if we made a little bit of tweaks, you know, that it would be suitable for now, and even the back. So, okay, so it's all so the back one, we make it ADA accessible, but is the equipment even I don't know if this is the right word, viable for a person with disabilities to even use? So we make something accessible to something they can't even use at the end result. So,
Good question.
Well, so what was, when I was out on site with this design build guy last week, he used the term twice, transfer station, which of course I think of that as something very, I said, what do you mean by that? He said, that's an apparatus that you can set up that's basically next to a playground that allows someone in a wheelchair to, you know, get onto it, and then it kind of turns onto the playground. Or onto the play gym. Once they're on the play gym, you know, he said, you know, a lot of, like, kids can kind of climb around even if they have limited,
what's a play gym? What we already have?
Yeah,
Okay.
right. So, you know, how well suited that would be to that, accessibility would be a question for, you know, for that person who specializes in it. But the point is, there are things you can do to improve the accessibility of existing.
Are you looking to put, hypothetically, if we want to go forward with this, put something on Springtown meeting? And an addendum to that, how much time do we have to spend the money we got from the state? Is there a limit on that?
Was my thought too, yeah.
I'm assuming it's within the budget year, within the state budget year.
And also,
Yeah, if you don't pay-
we
I-
certainly, because we've already gotten the state to accommodate us and Senator Tarr to change direction of it one time, we certainly want to be sure that
Spend it.
we're utilizing this absolutely.
Yes.
We don't want to ask for permission to hold off on it. That would look really bad.
You can't.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? What is the obligation of the town, once you touch something?
It has to be a percentage of the,
Yeah, so
overall.
what is that? Do you know that?
30%?
For a building, it's
Does
30%.
that apply to a,
I'm not sure,
I know the bleachers behind the school were an issue, like they were not ADA, they were an issue with them, and they held off repairing them for a long time because they were afraid of opening up a bigger can of worms. I don't know if that applies for a playground.
Mhm.
It seems like a similar kind of situation though, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess just to kind of move things along, so, would you like me to, continue to correspond with, prospective vendors, possibly this landscape architect, and just get a better ballpark of what level of investment might be needed for different levels of improvement?
That would definitely help the conversation.
I mean, I
It's
certainly wouldn't want to use I don't, just personally, it seems like I don't want to use the money that was appropriated to actually do something physical to then change the direction of it to, well, we're going to use the 20,000 to do a study to see what we can do. That's sort of
Within
not
my-
doing what we.
Right, no,
That's changing the whole focus of it. We want something constructive out of that 20,000.
And I totally agree, and I communicated that to this design build guy, because one of the specific issues which was of concern to at least one parent is the lack of a swing that their child can use, and they had looked, as I said earlier, they had looked into the front playground. Because of the size and the other apparatus and the fencing, there wasn't, you couldn't put a swing there that would meet the setbacks, and so we looked at the swing out back, and there's a particular type of swing seat that would work for this particular child. And so I talked with the vendor about if this is something that happens, where there's like a bigger vision for something in the future. I said, if we can get something actually done this fall to provide improved access to this swing set, and maybe swap out the type of seat, so at least that one tangible benefit, and that's something we couldn't obviously do, with
See, that's
CMOC.
that's what I think we should
Yeah.
do. Do something, even if it's not the ultimate fix, a small fix to, improve
A real, something we can look at that's tangible.
and it would help this one individual, or
But then
maybe
have a
more.
plan going
But then
forward.
a plan
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
forward,
That we can
yeah.
address in Springtown meeting.
Yeah.
It seems though, if you do that, which you wanna make sure that what you're doing now is complementary to what's gonna be done later. You don't wanna throw $20,000 out now to do something and then.
Oh, then have to redo it, like plant the trees no, you're fine, you
Okay,
just got close,
oh,
you just got
okay.
close enough.
Okay.
Yeah, like plant the trees in front of your house and spend the money, then have to rip them out when you do it in the driveway.
Yeah, we don't, I don't think
Yeah.
you wanna make, a swing accessible for 6 months and then, 6 months later or 8 months later, have a major project that throws that 20 grand down the drain.
I agree, but if, say it takes 3 years to do it, that particular kid is no longer,
It's
is,
part of the whole scope, if you're working with somebody, they can add on something that, the equipment up there, it's not that old. So, my next question was, no matter what we do up there, is there a maintenance budget that's gonna be able to then support that? Because that always seems to be a dilemma that we're
It
more
is a
than
big
lucky,
dilemma,
excuse me,
yeah.
not more lucky, more than happy, it seems like the taxpayers are, to be able to support our children and do things for them. And then there isn't that maintenance budget to then take care of that capital cost after that.
And that perception is certainly shared by the, those personnel charged with maintaining the facilities over there.
So is the playground part of the school that should be maintained by the
Without a doubt.
district, or is
Without a doubt.
the playground part of West Newbury's, recreational department?
I'm almost positive that who mows the fields?
The school.
Yeah. So there
The
is
school
there is a plan, Archie. We lease that to them for $1. So
Right,
there
but is the playground part
Yeah,
of that?
so
Yeah.
what my point is, there is a plan which has a footprint of what they're responsible for. Like
Oh,
in that
okay.
plan, there's the septic system, they're the ones that are supposed to be maintaining, and even though if the septic system failed, we would be responsible for it, but they're supposed to be the ones pumping it and maintaining it properly. And I'm almost positive that, that front garden part, the playground, is all part of that. Now, another question they'll pose will be asked by people, where is the money that we get from the Children's Castle lease? Can that be used to offset the cost of a playground up there? That
So-
definitely will be.
Right, so right now, and this gets, if you think back to the budget process this past year, and we talked about budgeting revenue, this is the first time, at least in some years, where we've, projected the revenue that we're gonna get for the year. So right now, because we're basically budgeting that and taking that into account when the tax rate is set, if we're projecting we're gonna raise, $200,000 in non-tax revenue, we're gonna raise that much less on the tax levy, because we're taking that into account. So if the
It
intent.
doesn't go into a separate account to sit there to
Exactly.
be wait to be used.
Right, that's not to say that couldn't happen in the future,
No, but no, that's a good answer,
But,
though.
yeah.
We're using it to, so we don't have to increase
offset the
your
tax rate, right?
Because that's always a question when we start doing stuff up there. So I liked Archie, I'm not sure, I was out of the room for a little bit getting some more water, but, Archie's idea of using that $20,000, or maybe more with a CPC article, to be able to do something, tangible, maybe get this way and get the accessibility in the back, and then through that, having an understanding that, we have a bigger plan to be able to be fixed up there and go forward with that, and maybe bring something forward in Springtown meeting.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
I think it's a great idea, I just think we need to make sure that we're not throwing, that, if it is 2 or 3 years, then it's one thing, but if it's 8 months later, we would.
But I don't see, if we're gonna fix something, I don't think we're gonna tear everything out either. That can be part of it.
Well,
If we do something
I-
new, we
We
don't.
don't know that, but
Yeah, I think there's major regrading that has to be done to, significant regrading to correct
Oh.
drainage, because, I think there's a drainage issue.
Gotcha.
So, that's really where I was coming from, is, if you do something to modify a swing, that's great, that's easily transferable, but if, but it's pretty hard to change
Mhm.
grade and change drainage, for one small area, and then, later do a major project and not impact what you've already done.
I would agree, totally. I would agree. But that would be something for somebody to, above my pay grade. They might say, yeah, we won't have to touch it, and do the grading, I don't know. I don't even know what's required. So, have we given any direction?
Yeah, I've heard your idea loud and clear, and I heard Rick say that you agreed with that, provided that anything done in the near term is done in a way that's not inconsistent with the longer term vision. Is that the will of the board?
yeah, if that's doable, yeah.
At least it's worth
Is it worth having the parents come in, or no? No, not yet, maybe. The parents already given you their, comments, so.
I I don't know if we wanna
Yeah,
put them
yeah.
to the
No,
third
no.
degree on that, no.
Well, they're giving their concerns and comments to Angus, and we're acting on them right now. It's not like we're not, and we don't have any questions, but.
Mhm. Good, all right, thank you.
The planned date of the fall town meeting is October 28th. We want to set a date for closing the warrant.
Any recommendations from the FinCon?
No, I have not asked them.
No, I'm not saying that we should have, I'm just curious. They'd probably say sooner than later, right?
Probably. Yeah, I think as you see in the memo, it's really the CPC timeline that kind of sets the edge in terms of to allow their normal process to go forward. They meet September 19th, so I've recommended September 20th.
So you say close the warrants on September 20th?
That's what I put out there. You could do something different, but not before that, because otherwise the CPC recommendation can't get into there.
But that gives you 10, that'd be 40 days. What is it, it needs to be posted?
14
14
yeah.
days. And so, and then there's another
26, so that's 3 weeks worth of meetings you could have before that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Make a motion that we close. Now, they're open now?
Yep.
Have you got anything?
No, not formal. I mean, there's a
A few kicking around?
yeah.
Town ones?
Town and school, capital potential spending article.
For the page?
Yeah.
Make a motion that we close the warrants. What day is that?
That would be a Friday.
Friday.
And so then they would be closed at noon on Friday. We're not here.
Mhm.
Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Is that okay with you guys?
Mm-hmm.
And then we would get a first gander on them on that Monday
Mhm.
in raw form?
Yep.
Second. Discussion?
Yeah, and you have 2 meetings in September before then, so I'll anything I'm aware of, I will write up and put into those earlier packets. I started writing something up for tonight, but it felt a little premature.
Mhm.
But the meetings that you have on the 3rd and the 16th, I'll make you aware of anything that I'm aware of that's floating around there.
20th.
All in favor?
What is it? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Do we meet that following Monday?
Yes.
That would be the special meeting for the.
Yeah, the 23rd. Next item is amendments to job descriptions for positions appointed by the,
I make a motion that we approve the proposed amendments on all the job descriptions that were provided in the packet.
second,
Now it's time for discussion.
further discussion.
All looked pretty good to me.
I liked it all, and my only comment was, I asked Angus previously who was gonna be in charge of the parade, and that was,
Put in there.
no, the Council on Aging Director, Teresa, has
Stepped up?
accepted that
Responsibility?
responsibility.
When I told the board what I told Archie, at the end of the day, it's up to me. Teresa would be the key support. She'd be doing a lot of work as she did this past spring, but I still own the parade in terms of trying to make sure things go well.
Lucky you.
Right.
She fell on her musket and
she was, as I think you all know, she was incredibly helpful this past spring and really did step up, and had done, told me she had done this years ago, and so
Yep.
it was in her wheelhouse. I think we had a good system.
All in favor? Aye. Changes to the facility use requests.
I can't find it. You?
Here, it's on the back, it's on the back of the, of that. I think you got it right there going. This seems like a great idea to me when the requests are below a certain threshold that we don't want, we want the resident services administrator, at present Annie, to do this without having to go through Angus or through us. And the following thresholds: no alcohol, under 30 people, and recurring meetings like the garden club, the scouts, and so forth. It seems like a really good idea.
Yeah, and just to
To
clarify,
streamline
so it's
things.
actually not, those no longer go through you at all.
Right.
So it just, but what we do, we send them to the fire chief, to the police chief, and to me. So, you know, we deal with hundreds of these a year, and so it's just that little thing that takes time, and so if there's an issue, you know, Annie brings it to my attention anyway, and I look at it, but typically for something these thresholds, there is no issue, and so the idea is to basically delegate my authority to her, so she can just sign and just save me
Mr.
some.
Chairman?
Yes.
So, if a meeting is over 50 people, but it's recurring, it doesn't come to us. Because hypothetically, like the garden club or the Boy Scouts, if their meeting has 50 people, but it's recurring, does it still come? I think the 30 people one is too low.
Mhm.
We're gonna still get too many of these things that we really don't need to
Right,
get.
well, and it's not coming.
No,
to you.
we're not getting it,
You're not
it's
getting any of
Angus.
them.
Oh.
You're not getting any of them.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm done. Okay. Thank you, sorry. Make a motion, to approve, process, for the changes to the process for the facilities use request.
As outlined in the memo of August 15th.
Correct, thank you.
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, updates by the town manager. Anything we should know about from the Pentucket Building Committee? Angus?
Everyone's hard at work. In addition to the information that you have in front of you, I attended a meeting just this past Friday with Chief Duran, Chief Dwyer, and representatives from police and fire from the other two towns. And it was a lengthy meeting all about building security, access, circulation, all of that. So, you know, my plan going forward is just to continue to include this backup in your packet, and if you have questions, you can let me know. If I have the answer, I can tell you. If not, I can go back and look into it. But just to give you as much transparency as I'm getting in terms of the minutes, one of the main changes is the working group minutes are now being sent to the full school building committee. That's something we had talked about at the school building committee back in July. That was important to those of us on the town side, just to make sure we have, you know, we're totally aware of what's going on there, so that's now happening.
Not that anything was nefarious going on, but it seemed like there were some decisions made in those working groups that it might have been good to have in an open discussion at least, that we would have our, just like how they came to those decisions, and so they were just coming to the full group with decisions rather than any backup or any discussion.
I have one question on the minutes. of July 9th here, and it says, the second to last paragraph, it says, as the design development is completed, another 2 estimates will be done and reconciled. So, I mean,
That's been part of the process the whole time, to make sure that we get,
no, I understand that, so are we, like, would the first estimate it could be 20 million off, or and then there's another, it seems,
I think it's more of a safeguard to make sure that one estimate isn't $20 million off. And I think there's a lot of collaboration and reconciliation between the two during that process. So they make sure the numbers and the estimates they have on costs and steel and labor and what they need to do to the ground and so forth are real. And I mean, just to get another set of eyes on it to make sure those numbers. And I'm not sure if this is a requirement.
It is, it's a requirement of the school, yeah, that's right, yeah.
so this is before the actual drawings are complete. There are gonna be 2 more estimates before even the drawings are done?
Yeah, different stages of design, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's the design,
requirement.
right, wow.
What they're
They
trying to
wanna
do
make
is,
sure your numbers
if there's a red flag, if there's a major issue, they wanna find it as soon as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that they don't have to circle back over everything to figure out how to correct it. You know, if you wait till you get to the very end of your design and then price it out, and you have a major issue, then you have no recourse than to go back through the entire design.
That's,
Does that work?
yeah, but Tom, it should be, yeah, Tom. It looks like the lights.
For those at home, I'm Tom Atwood, 2 Hilltop Circle, and I currently serve on the Conservation Commission. Just something that, I saw this on the agenda, and that's why I came back in after. A few weeks ago, I'm speaking, by the way, on behalf of only myself and not the overall Conservation Commission. But as many people know, I previously sat on school committee, Board of Selectmen, have been involved enough in town issues that sometimes you understand that sometimes you need more time to get things done than you think up front. And one of the things that just struck me individually when I saw the plan for wetlands delineation at the middle high school campus is that evidently the wetlands delineation is happening now. The Conservation Commission is going to go out and confirm that wetlands line at some point in September. But then the timeline shows that the school building group won't come to the Conservation Commission with the proposal until like January or February. And again, I'm not involved with the school building working group and what's needed between those 4 months, but that seemed like an overly extended amount of time. And that if there's any time in this project where you can get things done as quickly as possible, done well that is, that you're going to want to do that this is a big project. It's going to take a lot of review by the Planning Board and the Conservation Commission. So if time can allow that to be a little bit earlier, November or December, I think that would be helpful. But I just saw that and red flags went up, and I just thought personally that that was a bit lengthy of a time.
So what would be the question that we could bring back to that? They're going to delineate the wetlands, and you have first time and sometime in September, and there could be some going back and forth in that.
So the wetlands that were delineated there last time they were delineated was when the track went in the tennis courts. So that was more than 3 years ago. And the laws require that wetlands for a project this size need to be redelineated if it's been more than 3 years. We've already received plans that show the new middle high school, the outside and what it looks like with the road, the footprint. And so the wetland delineation would basically, if the flags move, they have to then reflect that on the plan and continue to move forward. Now, the question is to the school building group is that outside footprint that we're showing in July, the actual outside footprint that's going to be used, or are there slight adjustments that need to happen as the design process occurs? As a community member, I just thought it was awfully strange that if we delineate the wetlands in mid-September, why there would be 4 months before we'd see that group come back with their actual Conservation Commission submittal for review. Because again, this is a big project. This isn't going to be one meeting and done. So if they're really looking to get this work started in March, because they have to get a building opened 3 years from 2 weeks from now, I would think that they would want to make sure that as much time is allowed for that process. So if they can get the Conservation Commissioner's, approval in, let's say, November or December versus February, I think that that would just give them some breathing room in terms of time. Again,
You think you're talking about, were they more hypothetical, maybe they didn't know, you think, or they, you know what I mean?
there's an email, Angus can go into the details of the email, but the email is basically that, this is our approximate timeline that's going to happen for us to come in from the Conservation Commission. Again, my recommendation, just because I've been involved in various town committees, I've seen how things take longer than expected, and if this goes on longer than expected, that tends to be correlated with higher costs than expected. We just want to make sure that folks stay on top of things and get that.
Did you get the question?
Get that.
I not only got the question, I totally share the question, because the planning department is also corresponding with the project engineers, and it's been difficult to pin down when we can expect them to file with planning board, but just as Tom has said, we want to make sure that they don't think they're going to file and that 2 weeks later it's all done. It's the biggest project this town's
I
seen.
hope I don't think that's gonna happen with the Conservation Commission.
Yeah,
That's
so I think,
not gonna happen.
I'm glad, Tom, that you represented that, because at a staff level, including myself, we've been sending that message, so it's helpful to say, this isn't just us we're not trying to give anyone a hard time, but you need to allow the local, jurisdictions
Yep.
time to do full due diligence. So
So do you think
I'll
that?
carry that message, and Glenn will, as a member of the school
Do you
building
think we
committee as well.
should, maybe email somebody that message? Maybe the
Yeah.
chairman of that committee, like maybe tomorrow or this
Yeah,
week?
yep,
And then
definitely.
say, we plan on bringing this up at the next meeting, so then they have
Good.
all this time to get the answer together, then we can, rather than saying at that meeting, because we only meet once a month, and we just met last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday, yeah.
And then waiting for another answer the next month, rather than just saying, hey, listen, this is gonna come up, could you have?
Well, the working group would be meeting more often, right?
That's right.
Or no?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Sorry?
But that's it, thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Good point.
I guess I have a question, maybe you know the answer to this, maybe not. I was just reading through this, trying to identify, comments and, who is who. And, there was reference to WTR, where is it?
Oh, WT Rich.
Oh, okay.
They're the,
I guess I've heard the name, but I don't recall what they are. Yes.
I believe they're the OPM, outside project manager.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. They've had a representative at all the meetings, including on Friday.
Right, yeah, I saw,
Safety. Yeah, they're
not listed on the, attendees, and, so I couldn't, okay, great, thank you.
No, Vertex is the. We'll get that for you. I think he's right. Okay?
And they're, what's their title again?
Well, let me verify that. and-
Yeah, that's, but
Okay.
we'll verify that, because I
Okay,
think
good.
Vertex is the OPM on the job, and then.
Yeah, they're the owner's project manager for tax.
That might have been an outside consultant or something. Okay? Updates to the library?
We made some, DPW and Buildings and Grounds, made some, investments in the, added some inline dehumidifiers, and, everyone's very happy. And, it was, unbudgeted.
Nice to hear.
It was a unbudgeted expense and not a small one, so I wanted to bring it to your attention, because, between that and the, sewer line that failed last week here in this building that required some significant work, and the stairway that's getting replaced in the back of this building as we speak, there have been some, even though we're just 2 months into the fiscal year, the Buildings and Grounds budget has been hit pretty hard. So that was part of my intent, bring this forward, just to let you know, not only A, those guys are hard at work and doing great work, but B, you know, it comes at a cost. So with the library, they installed some inline dehumidifiers, had already made some other.
Do you think there might be an article that might need to replenish that expense line
I've
at
got,
fall town meeting?
I've got Wayne looking at that. That's
Just as, and say, hey, we need to do this because of these like from the library.
That's exactly
and
what.
pinpoint them to
we're
a
looking at.
specific cost, like
Right.
the library dehumidifiers, because then it's easier to.
Right.
To understand for people and then pass.
Right. And,
Jen, we are gonna have a raffle.
oh, the duct cleaning, that's the other thing that we had done at the library just last Saturday.
The duct cleaning?
The duct cleaning.
Okay.
And then the carpets will be cleaned this month as well, so, both of those kind of
You're
routine
gonna be able to eat
maintenance
off the
things.
floor
will-
out there.
Yeah, it's pretty, people are happy, so. And you can see from the, you know, we had the guy out from, Mass Department of Public Health, from the Indoor Air Quality Bureau, and he said everything we're doing is exactly what we should be doing, and it was a very good,
Perfect.
meeting. They will be writing up a report and sending that in a couple of weeks.
I like that guy.
I was kidding about the raffle. During the drainage problem, they stick a camera down the sword thing, and they found somebody's iPhone.
Batteries, please.
So.
So all the toilets backed up. It
Yeah.
was pretty nasty here
Yeah,
last week.
we're gonna have a raffle to find out.
It was great too, the phone worked.
It's a good advertisement for Autobox, you know, they had it in the, they couldn't get it out, but we're gonna find out whose it is. Okay? Defibrillator program?
Yeah, this is just background correspondence. I'm definitely not looking for any direction from the board tonight. There's a lot of background to this issue. There's a lot of regulatory compliance associated with setting up a AED program, and
What's
so
the
that-
program mean? Does that mean having the particular things at different places? Is that the program, or?
No,
That's what I
it's,
didn't understand.
no, so to have the units is one thing, but to have a program, you need a AED medical director, who basically, blesses the program, and so that speaks to things like frequency of, keeping up with the changing of the batteries, the changing of the pads, those also have to be changed on a regular basis, making sure that you've got operators that are,
Trained.
have current certifications, and, yeah, regular training. So one of the kind of elements of the dialogue that's going on between, the town and the West Newbury Youth League, which I think is a very positive dialogue, is basically, helping to understand what are those requirements and how do they fall differently if it is a public entity that is the sponsoring entity as opposed to a private entity, because, you know, our understanding, and I say our meaning mine, Chief Durand, and most particularly Chief Dwyer, is that if you have a public program, it needs to be made available to the public. And so what does that mean? In terms of, like, right now, we offer any number of rec programs through our Park and Rec Commission. We don't have paid staff necessarily, other than maybe the counselors, but it's not right now part of our normal operations to have people who are certified in the use of this equipment, and so on and so forth. So it would be a lot to take on. Perhaps more, well, definitely more if it's a public-sponsored program than a private organization, which could just do it for their event. So it's an active dialogue. It's one of the topics on this Thursday's Park and Rec Commission. So I wanted the board to be aware that this is, you know, something that we were approached about. It turns out the Youth League actually got these through a grant back in 2017. So they've had them for a while, but now there's a change in chairmanship, and so Jack's looking to kind of push it forward. And so we've had, over the last couple of months, a number of
Can you still use them? Are they still I mean, those type of things?
I don't know if they've kept up with the change of batteries. and the
I'm
pads.
sure the batteries are okay, but the pads would probably need to be replaced.
Well,
That's
even if
one
they're
thing.
okay,
They
I don't know
the
what they're.
pads dry out, that's what happens.
So Chief Dwyer will also be part of the meeting this Thursday. He's by far the most knowledgeable about it.
Good.
So anytime there's something like this, especially that's gonna be going to another public board, I wanna make sure you guys are aware
It's-
that this is
It's
something
way,
we can
from,
approach on.
it's way more complicated than you would think.
It's very complicated. It's very complicated.
It seems like, oh,
More complicated than just letting them die?
This should be easier.
Well, and I know that was.
You don't have to get, no.
Well,
By any
No,
means
we'd
necessary.
have to have like somebody
On staff,
available.
24/7?
Like 3 people are out playing, playing softball and, so who's the on-call person?
Oh, I got
Oh
you.
my God.
so I think, part of what I'm hearing from, the public safety officials is, we do have a volunteer fire department. We do have a fire chief who's got a full-time job as a police officer. So it's not like we've got all of this, like,
Extra staff.
extra staff time that we're looking for what to do with it. Like, we're quite lean, staffing wise, so I think that's kind of where I've landed on it, is if this is something we were to do, in my view, and working with the affected personnel, and representing that point of view, I think it would be something that would need to be, we would need to be staffed properly to do it. That's not right now something I'm intending to propose. That's something I'm talking with them about, and I think if it's something people want the town to take it on as a service we provide, that's something we would need to look at more structurally. It's not just something we can just, oh, sure. So it's kind of a big deal. And I think that, part of what I hear from public safety is it takes a lot of time and effort, all of the certifications and trainings to provide the level of service we do provide, and people can pick up 911 and have
We can
very
have
quick
that there.
response time. So I think, if something were to happen, the immediate answer would be call 911, because that's where, like, their focus is making sure that they've got people ready to respond and so forth. So it's an issue that it's a current dialogue.
That's it. Update on, job descriptions.
Okay, so these are, in contrast to the other ones that were selectmen appointed positions, these are for the resident service administrator, as well as the newly created assistant to town manager and finance department. So I've included in your packet both red lines to Annie's job description and a new job description for the new position. And while I'm not looking for your official vote of approval, I would certainly welcome any feedback that you may have, but my intent is to post the new position tomorrow. I've got the job ad all drafted, and I'd like to get that advertised tomorrow. And I would consider applicants on a rolling basis, position open until filled.
When, where are you gonna, advertise it? Just, I don't care, I mean, I do care.
I'm looking at Mass Municipal Association. There's a listserv in addition to that I'm part of. I would, I go back and forth on the paper. I favor putting things in the paper, because even though, anyone who does a lot of hiring, it's questionable how much value you get from that. I think it's the right thing to do. That's the most kind of, it shows that you're just looking for the best candidate. So I would say the newspaper, MMA, the listserv, and then put it on the town website, and I would put something on the town Facebook about it, just to try to get it in front of as many people as we can. That would be my approach.
Sounds good to me. Update your message.
Updates on pending projects. Is there anything particular here that you want to focus on, Angus?
No, I did make one change. I just put things in red text if it was something that is really like today, tomorrow, next week, something we're actively working on. Just trying to give you as much transparency as possible in terms of what we're actually doing. The red doesn't come through in the hard copy, but you. So that's the real change from last time as well, is just, you know, I kind of give it a once over, and if it's done, I cross it off. If there's something new that came in, I add that, and,
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes.
I can't remember, and I didn't write it down, and I was curious how it's going, if you reached out to anybody. The policy for the parade, they coming in next meeting?
next meeting, yeah, I met with Archie. His goal was to have that for tonight.
I wanted to do
And-
it tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, I did put together with Teresa, I wanted to make sure I had a complete outreach list, and I got that, but the notice wouldn't have been sent out until the second part of last week.
So
And
it's gonna be sent out soon?
Yeah, it'll be sent out, we should be able to send it out tomorrow for the for the September 3rd meeting. So we wanted to give people, you know, we didn't want to send out a notice like
So it's
4
good
days
that
before.
we wanna post that.
Yeah,
maybe?
that'd be great to get in the paper, that
We're gonna
that
have a
discussion
good
will be
discussion
on
about that.
September 3rd.
And get it on our website and Facebook
Yep.
to get everybody here.
Yep.
Have it out. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, this is also just anything in here that you want any, information about. But I know it's been a long night already, so.
So so another thing on the future meeting, I attended the planning board meeting in relation to
So,
the sign on the public safety building, and the planning board and subsequently the open space committee would both like to discuss the sign with the Board of Selectmen. I said, fine. They wanted to do it in September, so we can either do that at the 3rd or the, what would be the next two?
16th.
With the 17th?
16th.
The what?
16th.
16th meeting, okay,
so I would just say, Mr. Chairman, whatever, which one is less
yeah.
abundant. Can I ask, Mr. Chairman, I have a question. I understand the planning board, but why open space?
They sent.
I mean, I'm not saying that
I-
they couldn't, I just don't understand it.
We received a, correspondence from them that the Open Space Committee had, unanimously voted to, see the process on on our approval of the sign. I don't know how it's in their purview, to be honest.
I guess anybody could ask.
Yeah.
Okay, so my only thing is, can we, there was a process, so Mike's given us his opinion, but if we could write up the exact process, I guess we already have it, and we kind of already know.
So I went through, after the meeting with the planning board, and I've asked Angus to look into it, I was trying to find all the meetings that we discussed it. I found 2 of them myself, but I'm sure, what do you think, Glenn? I think we had at least 4 meetings with
But
Dan and Art.
But I guess, are they asking for the process of approving it? Or are they asking for the whole process when people came in a couple of years ago and said, hey, we're thinking about doing this, and then it was, there's a charitable contribution in the name of Donnie and his son to do this, and then it kind of was shelved, and then, or the real, are they looking for our approval?
They questioned everything. They said that they didn't, they did not believe that the Board of Selectmen had authority to accept the gift. There were so many.
We don't, who does?
I'm just telling you what they
I'm
said,
sorry,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
That was one of their.
Not the messenger.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of their complaints,
Hold on for 1 second. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Why don't we ask them if they have any specific complaints or concerns, if we can have it in writing before the meeting, and so we could have the proper answers, so it can be a constructive meeting, rather than just the open space saying that they want to be on it and say, okay, what are your specific concerns? because we might have to research
They
something.
had a list of like 9 concerns.
But when you're referring to the planning board, right?
What's that?
You're referring to the planning board had.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think Glenn's talking
Like
about.
open space,
But
I
in
mean,
general, point
So if
taken.
they wanna be on our agenda and they have a question about it, I'd like, so it can be productive,
Yeah.
that night, we can say, yeah, we have the authority, this is why we have the authority, this is why we did it, you might not like it, I can appreciate that and understand that, but it was all done, I think they're looking to the fact that it wasn't done legally or something like that, we didn't have the authority, and they're trying to, they don't like it, and they're trying to do that, so I would just ask if there are any questions, just not in a bad way, just so it can be productive, so we can put this thing to bed.
Well, right,
That's all mine.
just for informational purposes, they said that they had received 5 complaints about the sign, and I said, well, I've never seen any of them. They've never come to, I've never seen any of them.
I'm surprised, quite honestly, they only got 5.
And, well, it turned out that 3 of them were from people on the planning board.
I'm sorry to laugh, but that's,
I-
you gotta
and
laugh, I'm
I-
sorry.
and they were outraged that I thought that was,
Kinda funny?
yeah.
Well, they're outraged again then. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh in disrespect, but it just kinda sounds funny. I'm honestly surprised they only got 5. Because, in the beginning, it was new, so there were some complaints, and I can understand why there would be some complaints. I can appreciate that.
But there's complaints about
Everything.
anything, yeah.
So that's why I'm surprised it was only 5. But, whatever. But, and can you, and I'm sorry, but, I don't know if this chief, or you're the one who controls it, but we did have some complaints. And I want people to know, and if we could have that list. We were sensitive to those complaints, and we did some adjusting after people kind of gave us some feedback on the lighting, and we dimmed it, and, we listened to people. We just didn't put a sign there and lit it up like Vegas and said, hey, that's what you're gonna get, if you like it or not. We put it up there, and it was in plenty of public meetings. We had to have at least 4 or 5 public meetings about it, and nobody at all, said anything bad about it. And then we listened to people, and we made some adjustments. Those are all true, correct?
That's right, and.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
we made the size of the sign smaller and everything.
We got feedback
Yeah.
from people, and we made it smaller, so there was some deliberation in it. But I like to make sure, I know Mike's given us opinion, but if we could have everything in the same place, so I don't have to go looking, but I wanna make sure that all the legal opinions and the reason why we could do that with their new sign
I
bylaw.
tried to find when we accepted the gift, and I had a hard time. I couldn't find that, and so maybe Dan, in his records, might have that, yeah.
So I'm thinking definitely not the 3rd. There's no way to adequately prepare, because also, remember, I'm on vacation next week, so this work week is my only time until the 3rd. The 16th
And
and
the
the
3rd
30th.
is the day after Labor Day.
And the 3rd is also we're gonna be talking about the parade thing.
Parade, so
Yeah,
I'm
that's it.
thinking the
No, we can only get yelled at.
16th and the 30th, so I'll work with the chairman on, and when Mike McCarron's back, and we can figure out how much time it'll take to put everything together.
I would
I
back to them.
know when the complaints came in last winter, I spent some time because I was present for 2 of the meetings since I've been here, and I went back and I found some meeting minutes from the prior winter, of 2 separate meetings, so I know.
four,
at least
So
four.
you have the
just
ones
need to
I
dig 'em.
gave,
I
the
do,
dates I
just
gave
need
you,
to
right?
I just need to dig, so I had written them up and sent them to Leah back last January, February, when the planning board.
Oh, okay.
So somewhere in my outbox, I have links to the actual.
Minutes.
Yeah, 'cause
Oh,
I
okay.
reviewed all that
He's
last
been here
winter.
for 2, and he found 2 more that
That's
he wasn't here for.
correct.
So there's 4.
There's
at least.
4,
That's
okay.
right, yeah, that's right.
Yep. So, my opinion, I would go back to the open space planning board and
Mhm.
say, hey, respectively, we're gonna do this, but we'd like to, a list of your complaints, we already have it, but formal, and we're gonna have you in September.
Mhm. Good.
Is that all right with you?
Yeah.
Rick?
Yeah.
I don't wanna speak for everybody, I just want it to be productive, so I don't want them to come in with a whole host of stuff that we might not have answers for, and then it gets dragged on again.
Mhm.
It was amusing. They beat me up for like an hour.
And I would ask, lucky you, but I would ask, hey, I wouldn't mind having pro people here too. This isn't all about negative, so the people who, we might want to get people out there, there's gonna be a discussion about people who don't want the sign. If they want, you have to have pro and con, or at least have people listen to it.
In terms of walk-in traffic, I definitely have had any number of residents come in, they really like the sign, or in some cases they have things, oh, can you help get the word out? Sure, we'll put it right on there, oh, that's great. I have no scientific survey, but there's definitely people who like the sign.
No, and I mean people who donated it. You might want to have that charitable organization here. Because we met for Donald and, you know. You don't even notice it now. Do you notice it now? I noticed it in the beginning, and it was bright, but we accommodated.
We did. We turned down the brightness. We only use black and white. It has the capability to do full color. We don't do any of that. It automatically turns off and turns on consistent with the hours in the zoning bylaw about illuminated signs.
Which the bank doesn't even do.
Right. Well, and the Pentucket School, which is exempt from zoning, but in terms of precedent, we're trying to make it close.
Yep.
Okay, anything else?
Not for me.
Motion to adjourn. We're going to adjourn back into, yes, Jim?
One real quick, do you guys know anything about cyanobacteria blooms in Mill Pond? You heard anything about that?
No. Have you?
I'm sorry, about what?
The blue algae.
So I got an email yesterday from a non-resident with a couple of photos. As it turns out, the board will remember at the last meeting I had briefed you that the Mill Pond Committee
testing.
Yeah. So we actually had a biologist at Mill Pond on August 8th.
A week ago.
Yeah, like a week and a half ago, doing water quality testing. And let me just pull this out of my notes, because this is very current. So, Mill Pond Committee is working with a consultant to determine what water quality testing they'll undertake. The standards in the Mill Pond Management Plan are non-specific and more than a decade old, so we're underway to update standards, set out a plan to get it done. As part of that work, we recently, on August 8th, had a biologist on site who grew up in the area, is familiar with many lakes and ponds. He brought some of his water quality. Anyhow, he was able to measure nitrogen levels, dissolved oxygen, chlorides, and conductivity. All were within normal ranges. He let us know that August is the perfect time to survey the pond for aquatic invasive plants, as many are in bloom. He did survey the pond with binoculars, did not see any mats of water chestnut. But with regard to the specific photos that I sent those over to the consultant today and to the Mill Pond Committee. Their next meeting is on September 4th. So, and I have, if anyone wants to see them, it's these two photos. You can. So I don't know, but in terms of the testing that was done, it was interesting timing, because it's not like we have a biologist out there all the time.
Testing that we have, we say no, but with what's going on, in my quote, with what's going on in the state, I think everybody should be cautious letting any animals or humans go in any bodies of water.
Thank you.
You made a motion to adjourn, I seconded it, we hadn't voted on it, but we're going back into executive session, and then we're gonna come out to just adjourn.
Same reason?
Yep, we just hadn't got to them all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.